Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the crypto jungle. My name is Baloo the Bear, and here on the channel we keep crypto simple. We look at the price, we look at the volume, and we take an objective approach to price analysis, specifically in crypto. If you're new here, I want to welcome you to hit the subscribe button. If you want to know exactly when the best times to buy and the best times to sell are from a macro price cycle point of view, then you found the right place. Now in today's video, I am going to talk about Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin and a few of the major altcoins. Bitcoin dominance, well, you know what, let's just dive right into it. We will start off with Bitcoin on the weekly. So on the weekly, it's looking like we're getting ready for our 9th week of red. What are we at? I'm not even paying attention. You know, you hear people on Twitter saying, oh, we can't have 8 weeks. We can have as many freaking weeks as we want. So we're on our 9th candle. It's threatening to become a red candle. It's still green at the moment, but you know, a break below 29.4, that'll flip it to red. There is no rules. That's not a good trading rule. You know, saying something can't happen because we've had so many green candles or so many red candles. You don't hear anybody making those types of predictions when we do rallies. Nobody said, hey, we have to have a correction. We've had this many green candles, but the red ones, it's just, we have to. We've never had this in Bitcoin's history. We have to. Anyways, I digress. We're looking at the 200 week. So the 200 week has some confluence right around the $20,000 mark. So from a moving average point of view, this would be a logical target zone. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I do have more bearish target zones. And the reason I have those more bearish targets is just because the blow off top didn't really form any structure, nor did we form any structure when we blew past the blow off top. So if we are to come down to a strong support level, a strong base, meaning that the market will have quite a large capitulation event, the stronger base is down here at around 14,000. Well, it's about 12,000 to just under 10,000. That's where the stronger base is. Now, it doesn't have to hit. This is just a target where, you know, I can't see it going any lower, so I just become a buyer. I'm not waiting for a turnaround. I'm just a spot buyer. More than happy to take the BTC at those levels. But yeah, we do have to take these one level at a time. The next level that will hold a lot of support for us is the 200 week moving average. So we got to start there. 200 week is currently sitting at around $22,100 on the Bitcoin index chart. All right, so Bitcoin's all fine and good. Bitcoin is the fire marshal of the bull market. When Bitcoin is bullish, the market is bullish. When Bitcoin is bearish, the market is bearish. But what about altcoins? A lot of people still holding on to positions in altcoins. And I'm going to, if this is your first cycle, well, you're gonna have a bad time. This is a potential bearish setup for any altcoin investor, basically. Now, I'm going to start off with the bullish interpretation, okay? We'll start off with the hopium, and then I'll destroy your pretty little dreams. But basically, we're in a year-long consolidation here on Bitcoin dominance. What this chart represents, it represents the willingness to take exposure to altcoins versus the willingness to take exposure to Bitcoin. This chart can trend up and down regardless of what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin can be going up, and this can be going up, and it can be going down. What it represents is just the ratio between how many people want Bitcoin versus how many people want everything else. And we've been on a rally. We've kind of broke out past this this kind of downward sloping line of resistance here. We had a breakout, and we're now at the top end of this range here from the automatic rally set back in May of 21. Now, the hopium, the bullish thing that could happen here is we reverse. Okay, so we're in a channel. Anytime you are in a channel, when you are at the top of the channel, your assumption will be that it reverses back to the bottom of the channel. So if this chart reverses, meaning if we, get up here and then we start to trend back down to the bottom of the channel, it's actually going to be a fabulous time to be an altcoin investor. You're going to see a lot of market dominance shift back over into altcoins, and we'll start to see some really nice rallies in altcoins. So that's the bullish case. We're in a channel, and we have not broken past these kind of resistances in this channel. So the assumption is that we can turn around here, head back down, and altcoins will gain market dominance again. Now I want to bring your attention to the bearish possibility that you need to pay attention to. You need to have this chart on your watch list, and you need to be paying attention to what's going on with this chart. Because I think that based on the market price cycles, let's actually just quickly go take a look at the market cycle. If you guys aren't already in the Discord, it's a fantastic free resource for you to have a lot of TA tools, Wyckoff educational tools. It's all there free, just all the links into the Discord. But the Wyckoff price cycle, so basically you have accumulation and distribution. A lot of us have heard of that. And then you have markup and markdown. Now, markup is when demand is greater than supply, meaning that there's less supply to go around and there's an appetite for investment. And then you have markdown, where supply is greater than demand, meaning that there aren't that many people looking to buy the assets and there's more people interested in selling. Now, markdown is where I think we are, okay? When we look at the market objectively, we can clearly see that there's more market participants willing to sell their positions than there are those willing to buy their positions. So because of that, we're in markdown. So markdown does conclude typically with some sort of really oversold condition where we go into a multi-month accumulation. We haven't reached a floor yet because we haven't traded sideways for multiple months. But when we reach that floor, we'll enter accumulation. So given the fact that we are in markdown, that would lead me to believe that Bitcoin dominance has a higher probability of breaking out of this consolidation than it does for demand to come back to altcoins and this chart to trend to the downside. So do pay attention. Do pay attention to this chart. If you don't have this chart on your watch list, if you're not paying, you don't always need to pay attention to Bitcoin dominance, but I feel that Bitcoin dominance is very important right now because we just don't have a new flow of new users. So if you're looking to take profits or exit gracefully on positions, you want this to trend down, and we're at the level where you could potentially see a pivot. If it starts to trend and break out of this consolidation, with the final straw being breaking past basically 48%, it has the potential to go 60. Now, if Bitcoin dominance, now this is kind of, it's interesting to people because these percentage moves, they're not big, but it's only 100. You can only have 100% dominance. So these 1% moves on this chart do equate to a lot of moves in the altcoins. But let's say we get a revisit up here at around the 60% mark. If we start to trend up towards 60%, your altcoins are going to feel as though they basically traded to zero. They are going to wash away all of their value. The price associated with those altcoins, take the most bearish, ridiculous price prediction you have ever heard on YouTube and double it. It's going to be bad. Now, it won't get here overnight. It won't get here even in a week or a month. It'll take time to tick along to the upside. All I'm telling you to pay attention to is this area right here. This area right here. If we start to trend out of this consolidation and break past 48, you're going to want to have a good hard look at your portfolio. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your trades or investments, but I'm saying these are the facts in the charts, and I'm simply reading them to you. You need to learn how to read and analyze charts 90% of the time. In the 10 to 15% of the time when it's a bull market, nobody really reads charts. They just get sucked in. What do I buy? How does it work? How do I lock my money up into this smart contract? And how much money do I get paid? So not a lot of people are learning how to read charts. You need to learn how to read these things because they're required most of the time. If you're a long-term investor, then that is also okay, but you can't invest in an altcoin that hasn't gone through a bear market, which is most of them. most of them, most of the assets that you may be invested in, were not around in a bear market. And if they were around in a bear market, did they make it past an all-time high? Because that's another indication. So if they, like XRP didn't make it past an all-time high, Litecoin didn't make it past an all-time high. So just because you're holding something that, made it through a bear market, it doesn't mean much. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are a long-term holder, a long-term investor, you really want to have a healthy position, a healthy investment position in Bitcoin. I'm not recommending that you buy Bitcoin right now, but I'm saying as a general rule, investments in altcoins, long-term investments in altcoins typically don't work. 99% of the time, they do not work. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin on the short term. Bitcoin on the short term has a bounce potential here. Let me actually go to a higher time frame. Let's go to the 4 hour, see what we're doing there. So we broke out of this area right here, had a nice rally, creating kind of a sign of strength, a new high inside of this consolidation. I'm still leaning bearish on this consolidation overall, but in this local move here, we had the breakout. We came back down to the area of the breakout. We tested it once. We're now testing it again. Not much of a bullish divergence, but there's definitely a bounce potential. A double tap on a support. If we start to trend above 30,500, we could at least give another test up to the 31, 32 mark here on Bitcoin. But long term, I'm still bearish on this chart. I do think that this consolidation will ultimately result in a lower low, or at least revisit back down to the $25,000 mark, get to the area of the shakeout. Yeah, so that's kind of the shorter term analysis on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at some altcoins. Here for the rants. I don't feel like I'm in a ranty mood today. I feel like I beat you guys up enough last time. Ethereum is structurally weak comparatively to Bitcoin. So this is just leaning into the entire thesis that I just explained with Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is trending to the upside. Ethereum, the #1 altcoin, is weak compared to Bitcoin. It's not good. It's leaning into the possibility and the probability that Bitcoin dominance does break out. If Bitcoin dominance breaks out, it's going to be a very bad time to be an altcoin investor. So Ethereum, looking like, we could bounce off of this level, but this is all occurring at a much lower level. You see how we're already coming down to the area of the shakeout. Let me label this. Shakeout. Automatic rally. Secondary test. These acronyms, if they're unfamiliar with you, don't worry too much about them. This is just the Wyckoff method. It's what we study and it's what we train in the private group. If you want to learn more, we actually have a bunch of free PDFs for you to get the basics of the Wyckoff method. You don't have to pay for anything. Just come into the server, pick it up in PDFs, and have a look at some of these acronyms that we use often. But yeah, so you see how we're spending a lot of time down here at the area of the shakeout. When we take a look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin didn't come down here at all. Bitcoin didn't come down to the area of the shakeout at all. Ethereum is spending a lot of time near the area of the breakout. So its reactions are much less. It's way weaker. It's way weaker. It has less of an ability to rally and much more of an ability to react to the downside. Another one that we're in is GMT. Same thing. Look at this. GMT step-in, for those who don't know. Step-in is way down at the end here. And we weren't even able to really rally past the midway point. At least Ethereum was able to rally a little bit past the midpoint. So altcoins are very weak. That's the long and short of it. So if you haven't already noticed, which I'm sure if you're an altcoin investor, you have noticed the weakness of altcoins. But yeah, nothing's really changed. Good morning if it's morning to you, good afternoon, and good evening. Having my morning coffee here in Thailand. So let's take a look at some of the macro Let's take a look at some of the macro market forces that are coming from traditional finance. So we'll start off with the dollar. Now the dollar is rallying. The dollar is rallying. I've been actually charting this as a distribution, but Forex is a little weird because, you know, there's so many other characteristics that come into trading Forex, and this could end up being a distribution as well, and we could be going on to print our actual UTAD. But as it stands right now, in this local move right here, we are on a rally. And until we start to break that structure to the downside, the assumption is higher levels. So if we continue to rally here in the dollar, it's not going to be a good trading environment for anything. Nothing. Commodities, equities, cryptos, you name it, it's a shit trade. It's a shit trade. As long as the dollar is going to continue to rally, people are going to trade their assets for dollars because the dollars end up, in fact, being a trade at that point. The dollars are appreciating in value. The dollar becomes a trade. It's not just a reserve currency. It becomes the only thing that's going up in the markets. So that is kind of a profound statement that you do need to pay attention to. And yeah, if we continue to rally here, like especially if we get a clean breakout of this consolidation, if we really start to, let's actually move this up. Actually, I'll put a rectangle around it. We have made a new local high, not all-time high, but a new local high here. And if we really start to rally off of this, it's going to be not the time to invest in anything that isn't the dollar. The dollar becomes the investment at that point if we continue to rally out of this. And this kind of makes sense when we look at the precariousness of the traditional finance. Let's take a look at the S&P. Get rid of that. So the S&P is at the upper end of this multi-year trading channel. This is about a 5,000 day trading channel. We had an overthrow. We came back down. So, you know, worst case scenario is we have a potential to come back down to the bottom of the range. So if that happens in the S&P, you better believe that it's going to feel very uncomfortable. So if we do come down to the bottom of the channel here, that's going to be some newsworthy events. You know, as people are going to talk about war, supply chain, famine, whatever it is, you know, you're going to hear about it in the news. But for me, I don't pay attention to the news. I always follow the chart first. The first thing that moves is the candle, then the reporters, then the news story. The news story is always the last thing that you actually hear about. The first thing that gives you information is the chart, which is why, again, it's very important for you to learn how to read charts. If you want to learn how to read charts and how to become a trader that can trade in a bull market, bear market, crab market, doesn't matter, come and join us in the crypto jungle. Links below. Check out the Discord, sharing our P&Ls, sharing our trade setups, entries, exits, all of that. But more importantly, in my opinion, I know a lot of people just want the trade setup, and we do provide that. But more importantly is we teach you how to find your own setups. You know, I'm not trading everything. There's certain assets that you specifically are going to want to trade. So if you want to learn exactly how to formulate a trading plan, how to manage risk, how to place a stop, how to size your position correctly, all of those finer details that are the difference between a successful trader and a trader that blows up their account, join the crypto jungle, links below, and use the coupon code BEAR. So I'm running a promotion till the end of the month. So you have until the end of June here to sign up using the coupon code BEAR. It gives you 25% off any package that you choose, whether it's the monthly, the yearly, quarterly, whatever package you choose, you get 25% off your next 2 payments. So you could potentially have 2 years of 25% off if you are interested. So yeah, that's the S&P, definitely downside room. Now we'll go to our highest correlated asset, which is a very scary chart when you look at it on the monthly. Let's take a look at it on the monthly here. We'll turn the log off for a moment. This is a parabolic chart. This is like an altcoin chart. Now this is the NASDAQ. This is the tech sector. Let me move that over because you can't see because my camera there. But this chart has gone absolutely parabolic since the breakout back here in 2015. So we've had, you know, a good 2,000 days of uninterrupted parabolic rally. This is concerning because if we begin to, right now we're just on a shakeout. We're just on a shakeout. So that's kind of the message throughout the market overall, is we have signs of weakness. Are we going to continue to have fun? Or are we going to begin the true correction that's needed in the markets? It's up to the Fed, really. So do pay attention to the fundamentals there. But the NASDAQ is on its shakeout move. Now, eventually, we will rally. Now, if we rally inside of this area, you know, we could look at a bounce potentially up to somewhere close to the previous all-time high. If we break past it, we're going to continue to rally and we'll continue to print new highs, and there will be a bullish sentiment in the space and there will be plenty of money to be made. Now, if we come short of it, it's going to be a lower high. If we get a lower high, we are looking at a potential really large shakeout here. If we start to break down in structure, you know, we could be looking at about a 72% correction in the NASDAQ over the next 2 years. So 2 years of bear market just on the way down. Then you need to go into a sideways trading environment that could also last 2 years. What could we look at here for conclusion of a downtrend to the retest before the rally? 2,000 days. So a long time, a very long time. What is that? 2,300 days. What is that? $2,300 divided by 365, about 6 years. So not great, not great. 6 years of sideways price action was what it took last time to create an accumulation strong enough to create this kind of rally. So this is also, you know, it's not a likely potential, but it's a potential nonetheless. So we do need to pay attention to it. All right. So yeah, let's take a look at let's take a look at Solana. So there are some ones that are getting a little interesting. Solana has a ton of negative sentiment attached to it right now, which, because it's the target of so much negative sentiment, it kind of makes me want to trade it. It kind of makes me want to go long on it. Now, there are people that don't really understand why Solana is having so many outages, where it had no outages during the bull market, and now it's having a ton of outages. Now, Solana is a high performance blockchain. What that means is it actually needs very strong computers to run the system, where Bitcoin, you know, this is a Raspberry Pi. This, I don't know if it's focusing there, but it's a tiny little weak bitch little computer. Okay. You can run a Bitcoin node and a Bitcoin Lightning node on this tiny little computer. You can run a Monero node on that tiny little computer. You can run, I mean, you could run an Ethereum validator node on that tiny little computer. Solana, you need a full-on gaming computer. So right off the bat, it's excluded a lot of the world from running a node. The nodes are how these blockchains operate. You need to have nodes in order for, you know, transactions to go through. The other thing that goes along with that is Solana also needs you to stake Solana. And it needs you to, you know, the more you stake, the more validator power you have running that node, and the more you get paid, the more Solana you get paid. So this presents a problem because a lot of people bought Solana and started running nodes during the accumulation. So they were buying like $2 Solana. They started, you know, they bought like 1,000 Solana at $2. They started running a validator node. It's been taking up their gaming PC this whole way up, and now, hey, all of a sudden I'm a fucking millionaire. I'm a multi-millionaire. You know, Solana's at $250. I bought it at $2. I bought 2,000 of them at $2, and now, you know, I'm looking at 2,000 of them at $250. They take profits. Now, when they take profits, what does that mean? It means they have to shut the node off. So they take the staked Solana, they go to the open market and they sell it. There's a ton of selling pressure that is delayed because it wasn't speculators, it was people running these high performance blockchains. And then you have the nodes shutting down. So as we go lower and lower and lower and lower, the node operators capitulate. There's less nodes on the network. more volume on the network, more market participants, more NFTs, more this, more that. And so it fucking goes out. There's outages. So that's what's going on fundamentally speaking with Solana. And it's fueling a lot of FUD. Now, I don't think Solana is entirely dead personally. And so because a lot of, you know, the amount of shade that's being thrown at Solana makes me kind of think that we have the possibility for a rally here. Now, if we look at the local range here on the daily, we have a bullish divergence printing. Now, it can continue to test here a bit, but we do have descending lows on the price and ascending lows on the RSI. Now, I will say that the RSI is breaking below this area right here. It's breaking below down here. You can see that we have 2 touch points and now the RSI is breaking below. So it does have the potential. If we break structure on the RSI, don't be surprised if we break structure on the price. But there's a setup. There's a setup that you want to pay attention to on the lower time frames. Solana does have a future. It's very normie friendly. Well, you know, I have my own opinions on cryptocurrency as a whole. And for me, I guess I'm old school because I feel that decentralization should come above all else. If you're going to run a centrally controlled product, then you don't need to run a blockchain. A blockchain is just the most inefficient way of running a centralized product that you could possibly find. It's like the dumbest way to run a centrally controlled product. Decentralization is what makes things exciting because that's how you eliminate a lot of the middlemen. So Solana does have some things that it needs to think about. And, you know, that could go to basically just, they could fork the chain. The data to run a Solana node is unachievable for most of the world. So basically it's just, you know, people with super hot freaking gaming computers that they're not using to game on, that's like a dedicated machine, and a bunch of money. That's pretty centralized. That's going against a lot of what cryptocurrency stands for, and a lot of the benefits that cryptocurrency offer are benefits because it's decentralized. So I do think it has its place. You know, when you want a really high layer 1 and you have low stakes, okay? So really high layer 1 with low stakes would be NFTs, low value NFTs. NFTs where trust kind of doesn't really matter. So, you know, I'm a member of a club, I'm an artist creating this, and I want to have a outreach to my clients. Or if I'm playing a video game and I want to, you know, run an NFT based video game, those applications make sense, but the stakes are low. When you have high stakes, meaning, you know, a financial system, a lending market, a derivatives market, a cryptocurrency exchange, a decentralized exchange, these are higher stakes products because you're dealing with money, real money, like the storage, custody, and decentralized things of money. For those purposes, I think Solana is not well designed. I do not think Solana is the future of finance. I think Solana is potentially the future of membership management, point of sale transactions, and gaming, which is not nothing, but it's certainly not, you know, revolutionizing the financial system. Sam Bankman-Fried won't let Solana. That's just further driving home my point. It's centrally controlled. You know, he fucking sold his shit. If you think Sam Bankman-Fried is holding a large position, a large percentage of his original position in Solana, you don't know how venture capitalists make decisions. He's not. He may step in and he'll begin to promote the product because, like I said, I don't think the product's a wash. But he's not holding, I highly doubt he's holding 15% of his original Solana position. He's sold at least 85% of it. And who cares? Why are you relying on one person to prop up the market? That's fucking stupid nonsense. That's ridiculous. this one guy's not going to let it fall. Go fuck. Like, come on, man. That's not decentralization. That's not how it works. It's about the people. The people need to prop it up. The users need to prop it up. We need to prop it up, not some fucking billionaire philanthropist who owns a fucking cryptocurrency exchange. That's asinine. All right, enough about Solana. There's a setup. Pay attention in the small time frames. Another new one that's on the market. How am I doing for time? I got some time here. And that's Optimism, another useless governance token. I guess we didn't have enough useless governance tokens, so we got some more. Hey, we got Optimism. Here we go. Cool. There are talks about turning OP into the gas token, making Optimism no longer a true layer 2, making it a sidechain, which I fully do not endorse. I think that we need Ethereum layer 2s, not more sidechains. But regardless, Optimism is trying to operate the gas model on the OP token. Could drive demand, but I think it's a foolish move. From the technical side, we're overtaking this area. So we had our buyer's climax. This is very small time frames, by the way. I'm on the 5 minute. So we have our buyer's climax, and then we have our kind of shakeout. And we're reclaiming the area of the shakeout right here. There's a trade setup here. I saw a fake out breakout back here. We broke out. It didn't hold the support, and we failed. Trade became invalidated. But now we're looking at a support / resistance flip here on Optimism. So if this level holds and we begin to trend up here, there could be a trade. Now, again, the trade would last like a day. It would last a day, maybe a day and a half. Maybe if you're really lucky, it lasted a few days. But ultimately, we're on the 5 minute. So a lot of price action and a lot of structure can develop on the 5 minute chart. So there is a potential bullish cross coming in on Alpha Numerics. Links below if you want to get signed up with the Alpha Numerics indicator. It's one of the best momentum-based indicators that we use in the jungle. But yeah, there's potential here. Potential for a long setup on Optimism. I'm optimistic on Optimism. Okay. What else do we got? Nobody's spamming tickers today, which is good, I guess. Let's go back to Bitcoin on the macro. All right, so we'll just recap here with Bitcoin. Are you really into it, or did you get the airdrop? Didn't get the airdrop. I'm into it because it's a new coin. I don't give a fuck about Optimism, like at all. It's just a new coin. When you have a new coin listing, you have a lot of volume. So you get high trading volume, high opportunity for trades, short-term trades like scalps. This is a scalp setup. I like Optimism, the protocol. I think all Ethereum layer 2s are just how we're going to operate. We're going to operate on layer 2 with everything. Layer 1 blockchains cannot scale, but they don't need to scale. Bitcoin layer 1 will not scale, which is why we have Lightning Network. Lightning Network is infinitely scalable. Infinitely scalable. Ethereum will not scale at layer 1. So we have Arbitrum, Optimism, Loopring, all of these other layer 2 protocols that are being built that allow for infinite scaling. Blockchain layer 1s are going to be the settlement layer of the application layer. The application layer is going to be layer 2. Not a sidechain, a layer 2, something that, bundles transactions and makes them one transaction per block on the main layer. I like Optimism, the protocol. I think this governance token is a waste of your time if you're looking at it as an investment. But going back to Bitcoin on the macro, what to watch out for is you want to watch this candle. If it flips red, it's probably going to continue to go red. So if we get that move below the open at 24,451 on my chart, on the index chart, it'll probably continue that momentum. It'll probably continue that momentum if it flips red. So do watch out for that, because that could trigger a move down to the 200 week, and that could wick around 20K. ultimately, you know, my targets are more bearish, but I'll watch how volume presents itself in that general range. If we get a capitulation, a real holy shit event, that'll be the bottom for me. But yeah. All right, I've got a few questions here, and then I gotta hop out of here and get into the virtual classroom, a private coaching session that we offer twice a week in the private jungle. You think CRO could go like BNB next bull season? It's possible. Honda Civic Inu? No. Being a momentum indicator, does alphanumerics work extra good with charts that also have hype in the news? So as I've mentioned plenty of times here, and you may be new, I think price moves news. I don't think news moves price at all. You can have the exact same story, and there's actually examples of that too. You can have the exact same story, blame a pump and blame a dump. I can't remember what year it was, but there was a Saudi Arabia oil embargo or something like that. I can't remember, but oil pumped, and they released a story saying, oh, this is the reason why oil pumped. And then it dumped like really hard after that. So it was an upthrust. It came up and then it dumped really, really hard. And then the exact same story was used to tell, to explain the dump as well. I wish I had more details on that, but the point I'm trying to make here is it's human nature to want to have a reason as to why things happen. And for me, I've seen so many bullish stories come out in the bear market. If there's no demand, nothing happens. If there's no setup, nothing happens. If there's no technical reason, if the chart isn't showing accumulation, or if the chart isn't already in markup, the news has zero effect. News can't counter trade a trend. And then, you know, when it is aligned, it works. So when we're in a bull market and you get bullish news stories, hey, the price goes up, you get increased demand. So I don't really care about the news, and I don't listen to any of it, because the news just makes me a bad trader. If you're trading based on news, that's why you're not making money. I don't even have to like speculate on that. I don't even need to guess. If news consumption is a big part of your investment decision, it's why you're down. I'm making a clear assumption that your portfolio is down. And I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right because you're watching the news. The news will fuck you every single time. Every single fucking time. Okay? Don't listen to the news. The news is right here. You want to know the newest news on Bitcoin? Go to the 1 minute chart. This happened. We went down. We went down this minute. We went down the minute before and the minute before that. This is your real-time news. And if you don't know how to read it, that's fine. Just learn. It doesn't take forever to learn how to read these things. It doesn't. Anyways, that's my fucking rant on news. The reason I'm so passionate about that is because I used to trade on the news. I used to make all the exact same mistakes. I used to read white papers, read roadmaps, count on partnership deals, wait for certain dates where news was supposed to be announced. I made all of the mistakes, all of them. And when I stopped doing that, I started making money easily. It's a message that I really try to reach to people, because way too many people invest specifically in cryptocurrency based on news, and it will just never work. It's why your portfolio is down. Okay. US citizens taking profits on no KYC future exchanges move BTC to private wallet. If moved to US exchange to cash out in USD, how are taxes calculated? A lot of crypto is based on the honor system right now. So there's not enough infrastructure for you to really get caught per se. But but it doesn't mean that you can't get caught in the future. You should pay your taxes. If you owe taxes, pay them, because the penalty, especially if you're in the US, the penalty for not doing so is going to prison. You don't want to go to fucking prison. Pay your fucking taxes. There are tax loopholes that you can take advantage of, but that's in the future. You have to set that up so that you're able to get into a position where you don't have to pay tax. Crypto allows you to not pay tax, but it's not, in hindsight, you can't repair the past. You can only fix the future. So it boils down to, do you want to take the risk? Do you want to take the risk in not paying taxes? They won't find you today, but it's like DNA technology, right? Like, you know, so many, it's kind of a shitty example, but you know, way back in like the 50s and 60s, you know, DNA technology didn't exist. So a lot of people got away with murder. Then the technology caught up and boom, 20 years down the road, all these murderers are getting put in jail. So it's the same thing. Right now, they can't really catch you in crypto. It's easier to hide stuff. But when the technology advances to the point where they can do audits, and then they're like, oh, hey, this guy didn't pay his taxes, they'll throw you in fucking jail. Pay your taxes, man. Pay your taxes. If you're worried about taxes, you're not making enough money. All right. That is all the time I have for today. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. It really does help out the channel. It's simple. It's free. Leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Even if you think I'm wrong, I was thinking about this the other day. You know, a lot of people come in here, they hear me give my bearish analysis and my real crazy targets of like 12,000 to 10,000. The only way to keep on top of that, to see if I'm wrong, or if one day you find out I'm right and you forget the channel, you don't have access to the analysis. So subscribe to the channel, even if you think I'm wrong today, because if I'm right in the future, you'll at least know which channel to go to. So I'll leave it at that. So thank you all for joining in, and please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.